The mission of the Wilton Community School District is to provide an education that encourages continued progress through the improvement of one's abilities, the expansions of one's interests and knowledge, and the growth of one's character. Ms. Board Secretary, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please take a roll call?
Linda Duncan.
Here.
Tony Hurd. Gary Meyer.
Here.
Rob Metzger.
Here.
Tara Wayne.
Here.
Agenda approval, I have nothing to add or delete from what is on here.
I have an addition.
Joy
I
has
thought
one
I
addition.
changed this. There is the land hearing is another set of minutes.
Okay,
There was the land sale hearing and then the regular meeting.
that is correct. So we need a set of minutes, basically just replicate August 8th. Let's do the land hearing first, meet in, those minutes. And then the August 8th regular meeting.
So motion to approve the minutes from the land sale hearing on August 8th. Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Otherwise, we will add that to the agenda. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, well, let's start with the approval of the minutes. Please take a look at the land hearing minutes. If you see no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the land hearing minutes indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to the regular board meeting on August 8th. If there are no additions or corrections, I'd entertain a motion to approve the August 8th minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of August 8th. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are going to now move to the election of board president and vice president for 2016 and 17. I entertain any motions for president. If there are no more than one person nominated, we'll end with that. But we'll take up to 4 nominees. 4 or 5. Mr. President to be present to be nominated from the floor. Do we have any nominations from the floor for
I'll
board
move to
president?
nominate Linda Duncan for president. Second.
Well, actually, there's no seconds here. Are there any other nominations?
No.
It's just a
Yeah, look
nomination.
at how quick that went.
Trying to follow Robert's rules of order. Are there any other nominations for president?
I move nomination cease.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Nominations cease. All those in favor of Ms. Linda Duncan for board president 2016-17, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Linda. You're on for the turn. So now, I'll give it to you to
So
run the vice
we need
presidential.
now, right, vice president.
I nominate Tony Hurd.
Any other nominations on the floor? All right, so, I forgot what you did.
Just
So,
say if anyone, if all those in favor of,
just like a mo,
yep,
it doesn't have to have a motion, but all
No.
those in favor? Indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Tony's VP. Good
very
deal.
good.
All right, and we have to adopt the rules of procedures. which
Yes.
is always
My
good.
recommendations, Robert's Rules of Order. So,
Motion for that.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
but
otherwise now we're
adopt-
just back to the regular move and second. and approve.
Okay. Okay. All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Any, we have to set date,
Time, date, and place.
Obviously, place is the same. Date or time, date usually is pretty well.
Second
is
Monday of the
time
month.
Okay, do we want to
That's
tweak
fine.
it? Are we good?
5:30, right?
It's 5:30?
Works
Okay.
And our work sessions typically are the 4th Wednesday of the month. We've tried to do those at 5 p.m. Does that still work as well, date and time?
Just a heads up, I will have a temporary conflict I have to cover for a sabbatical that my professors got at the university.
Okay.
It'll be probably January through April, so it's like three, maybe 4, depending on when spring break and stuff falls.
Okay.
So I don't view that as reason to move, but I'm just wanted to give you guys a heads up that.
That you know for sure you won't be able to make it? or-
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, I've
For
got
sure.
it.
And I spoke with Rob
It's a
about this.
temporary thing, so.
okay, and that's
We
fine.
certainly
Just
can
for spring
tweak a
semester.
night
Yeah.
if we want to, you know.
When it comes closer.
Yeah,
we can do it.
Exactly, maybe in December we can
Depends on
decide.
what's
It's
what
a
we
good
wanna do.
routine, so I don't
Going
want to
on.
stick too much, so.
Okay,
Okay,
I'd like to be able to have Rob there if we could. so if we
correct,
can
I agree.
Tweak those dates when we get closer, just keep that in mind, so.
Mhm.
Okay,
Works for me.
great, all righty. So we have to make a motion to do all that?
Make a motion, we adopt the same date, place, and time
Second.
for the regular meeting and the work session.
Second?
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Very good. We need to, sat through a seminar or webinar last week. We need to appoint a board secretary and board treasurer every 2 years when we have an election, but we didn't do that last time, so it's just a semantic
Mhm.
piece. My recommendation is to appoint Joy Garrels as our board secretary. It's more for the state minutes. So. We need a
We need a
motion.
motion and a second.
We-
It needs
All
to be-
right.
it needs to be
I was like,
mixed.
okay, yeah, we agree.
Sure, whatever.
All right, so.
The bigger question is, does Joy, what if Joy says no?
Look at her.
She's under contract.
I don't think you have a choice, I'm sorry.
Nobody's speaking up, I don't know. I move we approve Joy as the board secretary.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Same goes for board treasurer. Recommend Stacy Kirkman.
I move we approve Stacy Kirkman as the treasurer.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Designate our official publication being the Advocate News.
Move to approve the Advocate News as our official publication.
Second?
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And last one is just our legal counsel. My recommendation is the Groom Law Firm, who we've used for over 10 years.
Move we approve the Gruen Law Firm as our counsel.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Committees.
These are the 5 committees we've had. Number 1, I think the committees really give us a lot of benefit. Okay. Number 2, it's up to the board to have these committees, no committees, 20 committees or whatnot. I think these 5 have worked well for us, but please know this is something that's flexible. And certainly if there's something that comes up we want to tweak, it's not like we have to, you know, keep these. If we want a committee someday that does whatever, that's up to the board. But I do think these are very valuable. I think have served us well. As far as who serves on the committees, that's up to the board. Typically, or what we've done is have 2 members on each committee because we can't have 3 because that constitutes a quorum, which constitutes an official meeting. But full board, goodwill, maintenance, policy, and legislative. I know we shook things up a little bit last year, but I don't know how you want to divvy these responsibilities. You know, it's up to you.
Does anybody have a concern, wanting to change, just want to mix it up? I'm fine with what I have. I'm full board and
Goodwill.
goodwill. Maintenance is a lot. For you and Tony. Maintenance and.
Your maintenance, I thought legislative. Yeah,
Ms. Rob policy.
yes. Tony was maintenance and policy, I believe.
Okay, right.
The full board,
That was Robin.
yes.
Right, Karen.
And maintenance, like we said, was Tony and Gary. Policy, I thought, was Rob and Tony. And then legislatively, I thought it was Gary and Linda. No, I take it back. Who is the other one? Tony. It's you. Because we never, legislative is probably our least active committee, but there's not a lot
Correct.
to. Okay. So yeah, that gives everybody 2.
Right. So,
shake any of that up. Okay. Well, then we just need a motion to appoint committees as stated.
I move we approve those committees as.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Very good. No correspondence. Kevin Bloss is here. You may notice that we've got a few
Just a few.
individual items for consent with the change orders, but the good news is it's to wrap things up.
Certificate of
So,
completion.
yes,
That's pretty much all I got.
that's what it is. It's just,
Budget items,
Okay.
I guess in summary, what you're seeing coming across are pretty much final change orders to either take the contingency out of their contracts, or there's a few loose floating deducts out there that we might have gotten pinned down to, and things like that. Or I know there's no additive change orders. There's still some more pending, because there's 3 or 4 guys that haven't submitted their final change orders. And once that's done, then I can do the final billing and close their contract out. So that's part of the process, and I think I dropped off some substantial completion forms that somebody at the school will have to sign. It's not necessarily board activity, but it's part of the process of closing that. And those are mostly done as well. Before I get into the numbers, I'm just gonna bring up real quick that we had a total of, on this last phase, the big building, we had a total of 16 contracts going. With tonight's meeting, we'll have 6 of them 100% closed out. So that means I got 10 more to close out. I foresee that for sure next month I'll have at least 6 of them ready to close out. I've been waiting on John and Mandy to get some stuff to me so that I can keep the process rolling, get that trying to go on. And there's 3 or 4 of them that are a challenge, but I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna have to get somebody else involved to push them along. But one of them has to do that for Mr. Holstra, another one's Bobby's got, either one of them like paperwork. And so that's the problem I got. Other than walking up to him and say, here's the paper, and even I can't do all that, but then we got the kitchen equipment guy, we tried for a year to get his stuff. And the roofer, I'm not sure, I'm not gonna get him closed out. But that's what's out there, it's real close, like, made a list of things of what I require from each one, and on average, there's about 5 documents I need from every contractor, whether it's a final change order, final billing, final lien waivers, that kind of stuff, so it's close. It's just a few things, like I said, John just got those change orders I've seen them now, because it's been holding up on that end.
otherwise we can collect interest on the money that's we're retaining.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're not getting paid until this is complete.
Correct.
So I don't know why.
Why do they want their money?
I don't know if it happened, but Tim and Chris were gonna call you about the little stormwater deal back there.
Trying to finalize the stormwater damage, we had to the
Mhm.
gym, and getting that aired out and whatnot, so we're planning an attack and we're working on that.
Yeah, Tim's been kinda taking the charge on it, I just kinda hear what's going on, some I don't wanna step on his toes by saying too much, but
No, I talked to them today, so.
it is moving forward, and hopefully, they were gonna meet this week, as I understand, or try to, and very shortly have it closed out and open, so. That's all I had, other than just looking at these numbers. The way I look at it, this is pretty much this is it. I don't see them changing again. We don't have necessarily all the final change orders in yet, but I know what the numbers are, so I put them in here. So this should represent all the final contract values for every contractor. The only exceptions I would put in there is what I call the Part 4 demolition. I just left it as is because I'm not part of that now, so I don't know what has or has not changed. So from this point of view, I couldn't do anything else with it.
Those are the actual bids.
Yeah, those are the
Unless
bids,
there's
and
some type of overage or something.
yeah. And so, and then, the only other thing I wasn't sure about is if the design fees have changed at all, so I couldn't reflect that. But everything else should be where it's gonna end up. I'm just going through this a little bit, you'll see that the total I've got now for the contracts looks like about $14,104,000 for the construction part of it, not counting the school part. Which is a drop of about $50,000 from last month, what I told you, and that all just reflects these deductive change orders as we close all of them out. That's bringing it back down, taking all that money out of the contract. Of course, contingency really hasn't changed, there's nothing going on. Gained about $300 because I closed down something somebody wanted, and I said no, so. But other than that, that's what I've got for a budget report. It's pretty much done. The one thing I did kind of want to point out, you'll see that the contingency, another part too, especially the contingency columns are all going to zero because like I said, we're taking it all out. There's still a $25,000 one floating in there. I don't know exactly what to do with it. We originally had budgeted $150,000 for the playground. Well, item O and item P on here represent the playground. And then there's a little bit mixed in with item F. I don't know where the D's are at, but there's a little in there. And net change means we saved $25,000 on that budget item, but it really never was contingency, so I just kind of left it there to show it.
Okay.
That way if you wonder why it's there, it's just kind of reconciling the budget.
Kevin, I do give you credit, this tool, the spreadsheet's been a very good
Yes.
tool for us.
Yes.
In
I don't know how
following.
confusing it was, but.
Yes.
No, it's
No.
great. It simplifies
Really
Yeah.
how things have worked
Yes.
out.
Yes.
And it was very good, I think, in working with myself and the board as far as making some decisions and just keeping this on budget. You know, we see that we're over $100,000 under the projected expense. You know, we're very happy with that. And I think this helped keep things in line and
Oh, yeah.
helped us along the way feel a little bit better because there were a lot of questions early on with our phase one, and I call it phase two, the cafeteria. This helped keep things in line, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that baseball field was a challenge in terms of, that was a budget challenge. But fortunately, the rest of this came in line. But the one thing that I know was kind of rough through it, but when I look back at it, is, to me, an accomplishment is the fact that you're under budget. That's not very often that happens on a school project. So that's kind of my personal takeaway from that. You guys may not feel that great about it, but whatever. Or,
We do.
Oh, yeah.
in terms of our performance, I mean, in terms of performance and all that. I understand saving money is great, but
Yeah.
kind of a personal kudo to myself that I took away from it.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
rightfully so, Kevin.
Yes.
So I
You
didn't mean to.
were a very good liaison between
Yes.
you know, every group, so thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't really, like I said, other than these final documents, I mean, next month you'll see a few more change orders, like I said, they're closing out and the final billings, and you'll see those trickling through. If it doesn't happen next month, like, other than strangling them, I don't know how else to get them here. It should be the next month following,
Has
but
to be the next month.
I'm pushing hard to get it this month.
Is there anything you need or want to mention under the, you know, final change orders the board should be aware of, or is it just strictly a routine
Looks like.
It's,
approval?
it's all, they're all deductive, and
Okay.
most of them, I think, are, like I said, most of them are bid contingencies, I'd have to come back and refresh. There's a couple of them that are a little older, I couldn't find signed copies in my file, but they were deductive ones, so I said, well, just to get it official, because I couldn't find them, I bumped Joey about it, she didn't see it, so I thought, well, slip them in here, that way we got official,
Okay.
but they're all deducts, so.
That's good.
All right. I just didn't know if there's anything they needed to know specifically, since there's so many to approve, if there's anything you want to point out, but.
Yeah, I can't think of anything standing out, I mean, I think all the information's there, if there is a question, you probably could pick it up pretty quick, so.
Mhm. Well, looks good.
All right.
Do you have any questions for Kevin? So we just got odds and ends to wrap up, but otherwise, everything's flowing pretty well.
Yeah, Joe hasn't been calling as much, so that's good, Joe. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I know Kim was kind of getting a call every morning. How did he call?
Well,
She was
that, when
home
we
or
started
something?
school, there were several little things
Yeah.
that, once we had all the bodies in the building,
Yeah.
certain things were a little bit more evident, you know, instead of an empty building.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, from water pressure to
Correct.
a lot of different things, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they've been ironed out.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Okay.
All right.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Well, thank you,
All
Kevin.
right.
Yeah, thank you.
We will be in touch.
So very
Thank
much.
you.
Yep.
All right.
Mr. Meyer is here tonight. I try to bring Mr. Meyer quarterly to the board meetings, to talk about curriculum. Is it okay if we allow him to go now? So,
Yes. He doesn't want to stay longer through the meeting?
I'm not saying he won't stick around, but just give me the opportunity.
All right. Yes, Mr. Meyer, what do
Mr.
you
Meyer,
have for
welcome.
us today?
This time of year is, on my end of the world, a little bit busier as far as like reports and things that go on to start the year. A lot of September 15th deadlines is always kind of a big thing. I will tell you that's changed a lot, and I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. First thing is that Terry Dinkman and I have worked through is our wellness policy. And the policy has not changed per se from things in there as far as the nutritional guidelines have changed again. The USDA continues to update your caloric intakes, how much trans fats you can have, how much sodium you can have. And then the big thing is that the new language is you're not supposed to sell anything as far as fundraisers or things from midnight to the last bell. So tonight at 12 o'clock until tomorrow when the bell rings, there's not supposed to be any competing food in the building for sales. Used to be bell to bell. Used to be that first bell in the morning till the last bell at the end of the day. I can't even come up with a good reason why they changed that to midnight to the bell unless people were selling massive breakfasts before school or donuts were being sold or coffee. I don't understand the language behind that. I just know that that's a new language that's in there for us. The requirements stay in there about the amount of exercise. You know, K-4 kids have to get 30 minutes a day. 5-12 kids have to get 120 minutes a day, and there's a waiver if they, you know, for a high school kid who might be out in football and basketball, they can get waivers for that to make sure that's in there. So really, as far as language stuff, it cleaned up the bell to bell, the midnight to bell was really the big thing that was in there, and changed some of the fat content and things like that in there. PD in each building is very different. This year, the elementary will continue to work on their data teams and do stuff with math. Shannon Patzlow has been with us. She was with us last year. I don't think the year before that, if I remember correctly. But she works a lot with the leadership team as far as the TLC teachers and what they're doing with math as far as a launch, explore, and summarize. And I'm pretty excited about this live lesson. I think I've talked about that before a little bit, how the teachers will do a little bit of planning. The three of them will pick a lesson, they'll plan the exact lesson out. One teacher will teach it, and the other two teachers will get a chance to watch it. We've jigged our schedule just a little bit, I think, to make sure that we've got coverage for those rooms. Because usually first grade all goes to co-curriculars at the same time. Well, one person will go at a different time, and they'll swap with somebody else that's teaching a lesson, so everybody gets to their time. But it gives us a chance to see it live in action, but for those other two people to see it live in action too. You know, we do so much in our rooms, but we don't watch each other teach. And that's really what we're getting after with that. The elementary is also going to do a book study with Anita Archer, which is explicit instruction, which is very direct. It's kind of the opposite of like whole language, the opposite of cooperative learning. It's very direct in how you get kids to respond. High school is going to continue to work with Allison as they continue to integrate the technology with all the kids having Chromebooks. It just makes so much sense to have kids using that world. That's their world anymore. The most reluctant people are the adults that are going, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. Allison's fantastic. I mean, she understands that, and I think does a good job of finding things that are useful, that are not too complicated, I think, for the staff to use. The BLT team and the TLC teachers at the high school are doing stuff with personal learning networks. Twitter's a big one. I don't know if any of you guys are on Twitter, but I mean, that's such a massive resource anymore. You can find anything you want on Twitter. And then we've broken down at the high school, all the staff is involved in some kind of book study. And there were 6 different options that they could choose from. They all selected those last spring. People made recommendations as far as books that maybe have been read that they'd like to see. With that, so Planet Middle School, The Outliers, Homework Myth, Gift of Failure, they're all great authors. And I'm curious to see where that ends up, see where that conversation ends up with that. I'm in the Homework Myth group, and the guy that wrote the book is, basically there's zero research that says homework, it has much benefit to learning. Not that you can't do that, but just as far as the impact of it, it's not being like, since these kids are doing homework, their learning is going to skyrocket 900%. That's just, the evidence isn't there yet. I'll be curious to see where that ends up, because if you think about it from the standpoint of elementary school and homework to high school, how we view that differently. Elementary kids, we don't think of homework, but high school, we're like, yeah, that's kind of a staple in high school. So I'll be just curious to hear that language and hear that group kind of evolve with that. The other groups, I'm pretty sure, have different things that they'll talk about. Planet Middle School, and if I talk about this incorrectly, but it's just about middle schoolers are so different. And I don't know if they call them zombies or monsters, or he has got some kind of vernacular he calls them like. It's just a trying time for them.
Yes, it is.
You know,
It's a tween.
you know, it's just such a tween time. So it's a
Yeah.
great book, and most of the people that are in that book deal with middle schoolers all day, you know, all day long.
What was said on that book was after the first 2 chapters, everybody's nodding, yep.
Yeah.
Well, they describe them and stuff, and
Yeah.
a lot of, yep.
And Gift of Failure, Leahy, I think was her last name, talks about how failure is actually a good thing. We frame it as bad.
Right.
Nobody's ever supposed to fail, but sometimes how those good things that we learn actually do come from failure. We've all had that experience in our life where we failed, but yet that kind of spurs us on, and we benefit from that very well. So, ACT update. You can tell there on the very far left, our district total has fallen dramatically. And I attribute that to just a couple things. One, you don't have to have an ACT score to go to college anymore. Most schools have figured out an alternative way to get a score for you to see if you're eligible for school. My daughter went and visited UNI, and they had two separate models. You could look at a model without ACT scores or a model with ACT scores. And you can qualify either way now. And then the other thing that I would attribute to is a lot of times community colleges don't ask for it either. And we're getting students that continue to use that route, Muscatine being close and Scott Community College, that they're using that. We did only have 50 graduates last year, so that was just a shade under half with that. But as our numbers have gone down, the state numbers have held pretty similar. So we'll see if that continues to do that. Across the bottom scores were some of our better scores actually in the last 5 years for that. So the differentiated accountability piece, we've really entered a new era, I think, in education. You know, we're switching from no child left behind to every student succeeds at. And Iowa's in the midst now of figuring out what its plan is going to look like. You know, the No Child Left Behind plan had certain cut scores for kids that, you know, we're going to test in these grade levels. And if you don't do well, you're going to be a sinus school and you're going to be a dyna school, and there are things that go with that. I don't believe that's going to change dramatically. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I do think Iowa's still going to come out with cut scores. I think they're going to have scores from their assessments. We have one more year with Iowa assessments, which is Smarter Balance. I still believe they'll have those. That's just that piece where we talk about in education where the standardized test scores have little value, but people that get elected to political offices really use that with high value. And sometimes there are campaigns that they run on. And we're going to fix these and we're going to get these schools to do that. I do believe Iowa's in a very good place, however. I think some of the work they've done, last year I was here in December and I showed you guys that Iowa school report card. It had the bell curve, you know, you were
Yes.
commendable, acceptable, exceeding, something like that. I think Iowa's a little bit ahead of the curve, and I think they'll use all that stuff to help them, because the feds talk about the bottom 5% of schools you have to intervene with. Iowa's already defined that with that school report card. So I kind of think we're a little bit ahead of that with that. This year would have been our site visit, and you guys have sat on that before if you've been board members long enough, or maybe parents long enough, where they come in, they invade for 3 days and questions, and they're going to interview this group and that group, and then they leave with the report again. That no longer exists. They've created this differentiated accountability that every school district now has to submit what they call a desk audit. I should be getting, well, I shouldn't say that. Mr. Burnett should be getting that here probably in this week yet. There are certain files we have to upload, and then based off those files, they can determine whether they would need to offer you any support or not, or us, any support to be out here. If you go down below that there, you'll see that chart on there that this year as they look at our data here, the health indicator data, they've just looked at preschool through 6th grade scores. Now it seems weird because we're a preschool through 12th grade building, but those of you, the elementary kids, you'll understand the Iowa tier piece of it, where the kids do the testing 3 times a year. That's where all that data is coming from. They have a plan to expand that 7-12. They're actually vetting that stuff right now. In the following year, they want to vet or preschool through 12th grade mathematics, so a lot will get added. But if you look at our scores there, we were I don't want to say assessed in 4 areas, but I guess that's the best word I can use right now. The percent of our learners that were screened, we always try to screen all of our kids. If we got a kid that ends up getting sick and can't be in there, that's of course going to show up. We fell in the universal category there, and the state has defined cut score categories as well. Percent of our learners not at benchmark, progress monitored 90% of the week, so if a student falls below the cut score, they have to be progress monitored. So every week the student's reading a 1-minute passage, and that's all projected out on graphing for them. That was actually an area we got dinged with targeting with that, and I'm a little upset by that because I'm such a Nazi about, and the teachers will tell you that. On Monday morning, I go through all of our progress monitoring sheets, and I look at the last time they were progress monitored, and the teacher gets an email from me if the kid was missed that week. 99 times out of 100, that kid was sick. Every once in a while, yeah, I did all my kids on Tuesday. They were gone. I forgot. That does happen. But Our spring break week, we were counted as not doing any progress monitoring. We were 0 out of 121. So I think I found a workaround to that system, so I hope that doesn't happen next year. If that week had been taken out of there, we'd have been in the universal, we'd have had a 94%.
But when they come out and look at it,
For
they're
that.
gonna.
And at the end of the day, if I can't
Break.
fix that, really, I'm gonna say, that's spring break week. I don't know how
Correct. You
what
can-
we're gonna do for that.
Prove that.
Our percent of learners at benchmark are our kids that meet proficiency, we were 74%. Last year, we were 71%, so I think we're on the right path, we're continuing to grow with that. And then the bottom one is how many kids in the spring, fall stayed there in the spring at the end of the year. And again, we met universal. So the targeted designation that we have to go to what's called a regional meeting now. We'll be there with other school districts, and they'll take us through a protocol for us to evaluate our system and see if there's anything that we need to do to change that. But now, again, understand, this is just all off of pre-K through 6 literacy assessments. That has nothing to do with math, that has nothing to do with multicultural, non-sexist, or any of that kind of stuff that would accompany a traditional site visit. Things that have been working, the Casa Report, Mrs. Austin is quite jealous about the Casa Report. But the change from No Child Left Behind to the new ESSA has dramatically reduced the paper work that the State Department is asking for. There were 96 questions on the old C plan, and I believe this one, aside from Mr. Burnett's assurances, had maybe 12 questions on it that you had to fill out. So the volume of work has gone significantly down. He actually had more assurances to read through and say yes to than I believe that I had to read through and actually input in there into the system. I do believe it's streamlined the system, and I do believe it gets at what I was asking for with the what's in code. Our ELL plan had to be submitted. That's our ELL plan for any English language students. We had 0 this year. Mrs. Hewitt had to update her tag plan, and then I had to redo our beginning teacher and mentoring plan to make sure it fit with the codes for Iowa. I did submit our special ed corrective action plan 2 years ago. We were cited for a couple things with kids that transition. When you're age 14, they have to start planning for post-high school at that time. We had some IEPs that weren't showing that quite well, and that's actually been cleaned up. Actually, Jessica was in here and helped me fill out that plan. The desk audit will be arriving here soon. And then the thing that I've got to work with the elementary on are a couple things. The K-6, we're still responsible this year for our SES maintaining effort on kids that are not scoring proficient. Last year we used Sylvan. They trained Mrs. Peterson and Ms. Kirkman to provide services after school. We're going to do our own this year. We spent a lot of money on Sylvan and for our own staff to carry out somebody else's plan. I thought it was really expensive. Iowa assessments are going to roll up here. We take those in early November. This year is K-6 adoption for social studies for the elementary, and actually we're going to wait on that. We would be looking this year. Iowa's right now in the final stages of coming out with their new Iowa Core social studies standards. It would seem silly to spend potentially $20,000, $25,000 and then have things that we would have to look at different. So next year, we could be looking at K-12. It would be a big year financially. Well, I don't know financially, I don't know how much but I just don't see that being a prudent thing for us to really try to do that and spend some money and then hate it at the end of the day. K-6 art will be adopting this year, and then the other big change is that I'll be curious to see what ESSA comes out with. They're shooting at a March 6th date as Iowa's plans to submit to the Fed. It still has to be approved at the federal level. So that'll, from here until then, will be quite interesting.
And things could change at the national
And
level.
things could change
You
at the
don't know.
national level too.
Very easily.
Yeah.
After the election too,
Always.
so.
So, any questions? Sorry to ramble, no longer than 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 15
A
seconds.
lot of information there, Jamie.
I know,
but-
sorry.
But that's okay.
It is.
That's good.
It's a lot of
It's
information.
good. It's all good stuff. All right. No, I don't.
All right,
Thank you.
free to go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Business financial functions.
Stacy is at practice. Do you want to wait until she gets here to go over those? Is that okay?
Okay.
Because we can go out of order if we have to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So then we'll go to, let's see, I gotta see these things here. Denise,
Yeah, so that I-
elementary, page 7.
Okay, open house and pin night, the percentages are on there, and those are fairly typical of what we have had. we're working with the teachers on pin night to send electronically home the information for the parents who don't choose to come in, so that everybody gets the information. They lose out on the ability to the give and take, but kindergarten, we always survey them on pin night, and 76% of them thought it was fantastic. 24% of them thought we needed more time. So we're going to change how we do kindergarten next year. And we've got a plan for that. So that's all great. Special thank you to everybody who's getting it together. Mr. Burnett stands out there every morning and directs traffic.
I try.
And we have all kinds of teachers and associates who are not on duty but have come out and helped us. And it really has been amazing how we have it down. And I do think the number one, most important thing is the safety of the kids, and I think we've done the best job we possibly can do, both from our end and the parent end. We sometimes have, when we need them to go all the way down before they drop off, and that's a very difficult thing, because they go part way and that's where their child wants off and they stop and don't realize then what that does to all the traffic behind them. So we have a couple associates who have the wheel going, and it's...
Because it was brought to my attention, it was unfortunate, open house was there by the office, and all the kids went in there and did their classrooms. Now, you gotta send them clear down to the end, and then they're like, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
But they're getting it, and they're getting it, but that was, they're like, we don't know where to go because,
Yes.
and that's why I think maybe parents wanted to drop them off at different,
Yeah.
as opposed to going clear down the end, because they weren't comfortable with
Right.
going down
And part of that is
far.
because we didn't know.
Correct.
I mean, really, we would not have, we could have possibly predicted a few things, but a lot of things really surprised me. I mean, the bike traffic surprised me. We had lots of things, yeah. But I think we have it down now.
Good,
There's just been a lot of tweaking,
which we
we're
knew.
putting bike racks, but also with kids, it was new to them, which path do I want to go to school?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids have changed their path based upon traffic and user friendliness of where they can get it out of school too, so.
Interesting.
And there are some things we're going to change. We're going to pour some more cement in front of the office on the north side there to have a bigger pad. One of the things we noticed, because a lot of students congregate around the office, what they do, get a little bit close to the curb. And, now there's grass there, but it is wet in the morning because of the dew, and let's face it, in the wintertime, it's going to be snowy and ultimately turn into mud. So we're going to pour some more concrete there. We're also adding a sidewalk out here. If you see when you leave, there's a bike rack that we've placed to see if that'll stay there, and we're possibly going to pour some concrete where that bike rack is. But have a sidewalk that runs from here up to, it's just hard to describe, but right here, this landing pad.
Yeah.
Because we ask all the kids that are walking up Cypress Street to go up here and then down and along the school, so it's not the shortest distance.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, so we're adding an 8-foot sidewalk from the Cypress sidewalk just to bypass the junior high. Plus the kids are having to walk through junior high students that are out here waiting to get in. So it's things like that. We wanted to live it to see what we needed to improve.
Right.
What about all that poor rock? It's just, you're gonna have to sweep every day. It's
The little
like,
preschoolers like the rock.
I'm sure they do.
That may be
It's
something next
like,
summer we look at
oh.
putting concrete there too.
Yeah, 'cause-
So it's just trying to figure out, okay.
Uh-huh.
But you're not
Yeah.
gonna have, I know, and it's like I'm walking through
Get
there
bigger
going.
rocks.
I
They
tell-
can't lift them up.
Yeah,
I know.
just make a rock garden.
I tell my
Big old-
little people every morning or every afternoon.
Yeah.
Very much hands-on
I
learners.
know, and they're just there's rocks all over. Anyway,
So-
interesting.
But those are some of the tweaks that we found just because of traffic patterns and whatnot. Mrs. Austin's right. Our associates that are scheduled to work, let's say, just before school or just after school, they've been out there both times, and everyone's really,
Several teachers have been too.
Yeah.
really done a good job.
They've done well, up and beyond.
And I am out there after school, and I always time it just to see if we're improving on the efficiency piece. And today was the quickest one. It was 7 minutes. At 3:22, I looked at my clock or my phone, and there were no cars left in the lanes. That's really impressive. I tell parents, if I were to pick up my son after school, I'd say, listen, I'm coming at 3:25. Just get a drink after school, use the restroom, maybe talk to your friends and meet me out front, because there's nobody. You can go right up to the curb, in, get in, go. So but I think people are getting some of those patterns established, which makes it even a little bit quicker
Yeah.
too.
Good.
So all things considered, it's going extremely, extremely well.
Still have a lot of people parking across the street than
Yeah.
walking across.
Yeah, and that's really worked out, having our crosswalk here across the parking lot and crosswalk there across Cypress. It's a straight shot for the most part. And what, it's like Mrs. Austin, we talked every day for the first 2 weeks after school or before school, we talked what worked, what didn't, what do we need to tweak. And at the old elementary, they would leave out of 4 exits. It was kind of,
Yes.
here, for the most part, wouldn't you say 90% of the students come out this front door?
Well, they're now getting better. It used to
Okay,
go
but-
up on them,
but-
we still went from,
But it makes sense too, because if they're gonna cross the street, they just walk down the hall and do the straight shot out the front door,
Right.
But even her teachers early on were leading the kids down the hallway. And so to slow that down, so we don't have too many in the funnel, she's like, don't lead them down the hallway, let them, just so many little things that would interrupt the flow. And so,
How are the buses working back there? How's that all?
really well too.
Good.
Yeah, not having them on Cypress Street, and it's gone really well. So, a lot of people put a lot of time in the plans, but we're also flexible enough to, and knew that, we just have to live it to make it better.
Right.
All right, Denise.
which I will
continue,
jump down to the
please.
bottom. Part of the reason we've also been successful is the people helping with the crossing guards as well as our bus buddies.
Oh.
Mrs. Owens has got, a whole crew, 25th and 6th graders as bus buddies, and they are just rocking it. Because they take the little ones by the hand and they put the little ones on first, and then we put the big, they have it down to, just like,
Good
and
deal.
it's beautiful. Rooster buddies go this way, squirrel buddies go this way.
Oh, cute. Well,
I
good.
love the elementary.
But I do appreciate that. Everything else in there, the new students, we had 41 new to Wilton students.
Wow.
My preschool number is wrong because I double counted the kids who come in the morning and stay all day. So that really should be, it's 54 students. So our total Friday was 553 kids in the elementary, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Parent-teacher conferences, the 12th and 13th, we've sent letters home. Constitution Day, we've got all kinds of activities planned for Friday. PD Day is Monday, that following Monday, the 19th, and you can see there we've got quite a array of activities. We're starting our Anita Archer explicit instruction book study that morning, so we'll do multiple chapters that day, and we'll do some switching of groups. And then we switch with, we do half the teachers with writers workshop and half of them with Shannon passed over with math. So that'll be a busy day. Yeah, and that's it.
All right. Thank you, Denise. We continue, or
Yes,
shall we?
go. Yeah,
All
let's
right,
go.
let's do Ken, please, and then we'll go to Stacy.
We'll go fast. You stole my thunder.
I
The
did.
AC2, no, ACT and the PD and that kind of stuff
Oh.
there. PD book study really went really well. The staff actually, I was kind of leery on what they would say and if they'd talk or if they'd try to talk about last night, but they really enjoyed the books they picked out. So I was very happy with that, and that's our Wednesdays, is a book study as well. And we're still going around and doing class snaps where they go and visit, have a professional conversation, take a little class snaps. I throw the few new ones out every so often. That's breaking down the barriers and showing people what's going on in classrooms as well. Obviously, homecoming's this week, so today was an off day, and tomorrow the activities start. So,
You decorated today, though.
a little bit.
When you set off, they don't have everybody in the gym or, on the football field, that kind of thing.
So hopefully that keeps everybody a little bit more fresh for the weekend. So, other than that, you can read all those types of things that are coming up. I know we have 2 home volleyball games this week. I know pep rallies this Wednesday, 6:30 is the parade, 7 o'clock is the pep rally. The games against Highland, I would say we would be favored in that game. I think we're ranked 10th for football now. Volleyball's ranked 15th. They won their tournament on Saturday as well for our own tournament. So they've won 3 this year, and they lost to Durant in the tournament or in regular season, and they beat West Branch. So they're 1-1 in the conference. So cross country went to Monticello. I haven't heard how they did there, but everybody's pretty busy. You see the numbers there for the fall sports moving quickly. The parentheses, what they were last year. So varsity football has 40 out this year, with 44 last year. Volleyball's up 2, cross country's up 2 overall, and those types of things. Their cheerleading's down a little bit. She is gonna try to do a little bit of basketball cheerleading, see if there's any interest there. We have not had basketball cheerleaders for 10, if not 11 years. She tried it last year and she just didn't feel there was quite the interest to do it, so I appreciated that. But you can also see here junior high football, volleyball, and cross country, variety of numbers there on that kind of stuff. So, trying to think of any other little things that are going on. Any questions with those types of things? Track resurfacing, like I said, is on the 19th-ish. I think we're ready. I have no idea how this is gonna go.
Interesting.
But they'll be done within the week, and so that's just, to me, I'm very, very excited to get that done. I think that'll
Yeah.
really, as I say here, make our facilities pop. But we're looking at more windscreens around the outside too, and so we get those things done, get that track in. Joe and I talked about fixing that fence on the south side where we have the windscreen, because it's kind of grown up and been hit by the tractor a couple times, and so it's been. So I mean, it's nice working with Joe and just ideas that are coming up, and we can get things just continually keep getting a little bit better on stuff. Got mats, I don't want to say mats, but
Protective mats, I mean, for walking across
on the track
Oh,
for
the-
football teams and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Have 3 of those coming, so we should.
If you went to the Tipton football game, they have some up there.
That's important.
So, that's the important part. We spend all this money on the track. We, do the best we can to maintain it.
Tarp, kind of the
Yeah.
tarp. So, got 3 of those coming, so they should be here hopefully this week sometime. But again, we don't have a home. Once we get done with the 16th, we have a 19th game, JV. They do the track, we'll have a junior high game on that Tuesday. The varsity won't be home again until October 7th, something like that. So I mean,
2 weeks.
still got plenty of time. They do the 7th and the 14th. This year's our 4 home games, so that's why it seems very spread out. And they should be doing well. I'm very happy that the girls won Saturday for volleyball. They had an exciting, what was that, Tuesday night? Was that Tuesday? 5-set match and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
hopefully things are
And
coming.
it makes a long night when you have to clear all 5 games.
Yes, it does. Any questions? I'm trying to go fast so we can get to Stacy.
What time is the FFA Field day?
Good
You
question.
know, I bet it's in the paper, but I just,
It's-
I'll look it
like
up.
from 5 to 7? or
Usually it's
something?
around 5 to 7.
Yeah, typically 5 to 7.
I missed it last year.
Well,
Make sure.
unfortunately, it's fallen several years on the same night we have work sessions.
Yeah,
And this year it doesn't, which is nice.
And
I don't think we
that's
got done
why,
in time last year.
and that's why I was
No.
thinking, so it must have been probably 5 to 7.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Mr. Crawford and I usually go up quick beforehand to be back here by 5, so
Okay, good, thank you.
pretty sure it's 5 to 7.
Okay. I would like to make sure I get that. I do enjoy going out.
Mr. Crawford and I also, we got, met with the daktronics representative for our gymnasium scoreboards. They've been here, Stacy probably know, 20 years. I don't know, Sprouse, Pepsi.
Oh, yeah.
There was a big push in the 90s. I remember that when I was coaching. Pepsi went in, or Sprouse went in and donated a lot of money for scoreboards. Well, we've just had some issues with connectivity and, scoreboards go down. So we're looking at getting bids on those too.
I forgot to mention Mark Patterson, Mr. Patterson is taking some kids to, Kirkwood has kind of a senior junior day, and he's taking some kids on Wednesday, and Muscatine Community College does it too, and he's taking some kids there too, so. A lot of nice things there, and other projects we're looking at, I's record boards, new record boards. I don't know if anybody in here has been up to Bellevue, but they've got some pretty interesting, fancy ones that, we're gonna get a price from Sign Pro out of Muscatine and see what they wanna do. Because I'd like to do track right out of the chute and take that big board down, paint that over, and maybe do something there different. So if you see that come down the next few months, we're gonna get something back better, much more clear versus the 1970s stick in the bins.
A lot of neat things going on. Just because our building project's complete,
Oh,
there's
no.
still
Oh, yeah.
so many areas to upgrade and improve.
Yeah.
And it helps when you come in under budget.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin is right. A lot of districts, way over budget, so that throws their budget off for years to come
Oh, sure.
as well. So,
That's it.
very good.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crawford. Let's go the other way, and we will, if Stacy will, let's see. Yep,
Number 5,
yes.
the August taxation fund financials. And hopefully for the September ones, the budget figures will be in there, but too many extra things to do, and we're prioritizing this got pushed to the bottom of the list. But any questions on any of the taxation funds? You can see at the end of August, we still had $600,000 left in our construction account, and that's already pulling the $500,000 out for the demolition. So we still have bills to pay. We still have almost all the retainage to pay, which is like $380-some thousand.
Can I just mention before you go to the asbestos removal today?
Oh,
Oh,
did
right.
they?
So
I
today
was wondering when it
Good.
yeah,
started.
sorry.
What
but-
is what is the timeline?
They think up to 3 weeks.
Okay.
But
And then
kind of one of those things when I got to dig into it to see the
Fine.
intensity of that.
Yeah.
when the demo and the actual building.
Right after they were coordinate that with DW Zenzer
Sure.
or Zinzer. So once that's done, they'll move right into it.
Okay.
So today was today. So sorry.
So yeah, we still have almost $492,000 sitting in the Fund 34, which is the second local option sales and service account for capital projects, and that's the $500,000 that we set aside for the demolition. So hopefully that's enough, and we've already paid some fees to Bracky Hayes. Coming out of that $500,000. But any questions or comments on any of the taxation fund revenues or expenditures? Number 6, instructional support. Expenditures to date at the bottom of the first page, with balances left at the top of the second, and then the revenues are at the top of the first page. Any questions or comments on any of the expenditures for instructional supports? Self-insurance. So with the self-insurance, our payrolls are small in July and August. Now in September, we'll have back to big payrolls with all the staff, not just summer staff. And so we'll be kicking in more money, but as you can see, lots of people go to the dentist over the summer. So from July and August, we have $23,000 worth of dental claims, and our dental balance is down to $1,000, which is why we increased the rate along with the benefit for this year. But overall, we're still doing very well with the self-insurance. Any questions or comments on that? Latchkey, number 8. August is still ending the summer program and starting the school year program, so you have usage in both of those programs. So as you can see, most of August is summer, and again, our expenditures were way higher than the income that we took in. One of the reasons is DHS is way behind in their payments, and we did just get that in the beginning of September, and it was a couple $1,000, a little over $2,000. And then also, we had some conversations, and we had a little bit more payroll than we probably should have, but hopefully we've taken care of that. But once again, they still have a balance, and the only thing that this can be spent on is the latchkey program. So we have had conversations, and we are monitoring that. So hopefully here for the school year, we'll see the revenues and the expenditures come a little closer. So any questions or comments on latchkey? Then next is the period vendor report for latchkey. And so you can see that they just have the snacks and then field trips from the summer. So primarily all those expenditures are salary and benefits. Nutrition fund. So starting August with the school year, we have the lunch program and the breakfast program usage. on the first page, and then financials on the second. So, any questions or comments? And I just lost it. Next report should be 11, with the period vendor reports for our nutrition fund. 12, first page is the student activity fund.
Is that for the end of July 31st, or is it supposed to be August 31st?
It should be August.
Don't ask me why that jumped out at me.
It actually just jumped at me.
I know, and
the
I'm
same time you
like,
said it.
Yeah,
This is
I'm like,
July.
really? Okay.
But it is the August numbers, right, Joy?
Yes.
Yes.
So music, you can still, and athletics are still very healthy. You can see those summaries on the far right-hand corner, or column. And the negatives, and student activity fund ending August would be the fall canteen, which of course is just starting up. So, and then the winter and spring canteen, which what we did is, that was a fee for Sam's Club, right? So the Sam's Club membership, primarily Terry uses it for the concession stands, and the nutrition fund has been paying for that. And she, as time has gone on, she's using it very little now for nutrition fund. So we decided that we would take it out of the concessions, and by the end of the year, we'll have a winter and a spring canteen, and those negatives will be taken care of. So you'll see that $25 negative sitting there in those accounts until we get to those seasons. Then top of the second page is our FFA enterprise. So after fairs, not uncommon for hogs and sheep to be in the hole, but Joy informed me today that they've gotten checks to deposit here in September that should take that out of the hole. So that's the norm. And then our flex spending and our agency fund, which is funds that we account for but are not officially owned by the school. So any questions or comments on any of those? And then next to the period vendor reports for all of those funds. Questions or comments on the period vendor reports? Next, 14, co-curricular driving for the August-September pay period. Using our new rate of 47 cents per mile, which I'm sure athletics will like. And the driver breakdown at the bottom. And then Latchkey and Special Olympics will be billed for their bus use. Any questions or comments? And then extra payroll, which spans 2 sheets this time. Extra payroll is anything that I've been requested to pay that's not already in the contract. Any questions or comments on any of the extra payroll expenses for September? And then sheet number 16 starts the board bills. And there are a mere 15 pages of board bills. So lots of pages of general fund. And that totals $88,654.39, which goes to the middle of page 12. And it starts one invoice for management fund for our insurance coverage for our new bus that we got in July, and then the bond construction. And the majority of the bills in the bond construction this time are school initiated invoices. We have only about 4 contract payments, so we still have a lot of retainage yet to pay. It sounds like they're having issues getting all the paperwork from those contractors. I was hoping to get it wrapped up this month, but
No.
that did not happen. So, and then, Fund 33, local save or local option sales and service tax, has several invoices also. Any questions on any of the invoices from those funds? Usually August and September are our big general fund months.
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, under consent agenda number 1, Katie Longwood has resigned from her position, which is the transfer piece. So you can see her letter of resignation. I got placed in the wrong spot. But that's all I have under personnel changes in consent agenda number 1, a resignation. We could transfer her, but I don't think she would take it.
Especially since she
Transfer
wants to
nowhere.
resign. Yeah,
That's right.
okay.
Well, we approved consent agenda number 1.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda 2.
Each year, via board policy, we put together a reconsideration committee. That's if someone calls in a question about curriculum or whatnot. And so in following that policy, you can see the reconsideration committee members for 16-17. And then letter B are just the early graduation requests. You pull those up. There's 7 or 8, Mr. Crawford. I don't know, look.
7.
What's that? I just said there were 7 or 8 students. They're on the list. I don't have.
7 of them.
Early graduation.
Oh,
Yeah.
early, I think there's 7, she said.
Yep, so you can see them listed there. Mr. Patterson turned that in, but that's all I have for consent agenda number 2. Early graduation requests, which is where, I know it seems early, but we have to have their intent to get that done.
Motion to approve consent agenda number 2.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now, questions.
As Kevin mentioned, this is just a formality on these pieces. It'd be my recommendation when you read each letter, just say, letter A, change order B, F6. You don't have to read the entire amount, unless you choose to.
Just gonna go down the line, or
Who
what
wants
are
to
you
be
gonna
mentioned
do?
in the
Who wants
minutes?
to be?
Does a really good job.
Gary and I have both done it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's your turn. You move equitable.
We'll second, we'll back you up.
Thanks, guys.
Make it easy for Joy to be
Maybe.
consistent.
All right, motion to approve change order BPF6.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve change order BPL1.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve change order BPB5.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve change order BPG2.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve change order BPH3.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve change order BPG5.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve change order BPG4.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve change order BPF5.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve change order BPH7.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve certificate of substantial completion for Tricon General Construction.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve certificate of completion for Cone.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve completion for Buckinstead Excavating.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve certificate of completion for Geisler Brothers.
Second.
All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve completion for National Playground.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve completion for Woodruff Construction.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve completion for Woodruff Construction.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve completion for Continental Fire Sprinkler.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Wow,
Good.
great work.
Yay!
You ever wonder what board meetings will be like when this project is over?
We would have been home by now.
15 minutes we'll be in and out.
Wow, I do remember this.
Yeah. Seems like a long time
It's
ago.
been a long time.
It's been a while.
All right, under the informational piece, you can see the one hiring there for the educational associate position that was left open when Katie resigned. Pool board, I don't know if there's anything to report.
We have our meeting on Wednesday.
You get the
Been a while.
person getting trained to be this backup CPO.
I think the one from the city was being
Right.
more proactive, which I just got the information to Ryan for
Okay.
ours.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Okay,
on that.
good.
I'll
No, that's
ask.
fine.
I'll update that, but, yeah, meeting's Wednesday, so.
All right. Under goodwill, I know we had a record turnout at our staff tailgate,
Good.
so I think
Yeah, it was
everyone
good.
appreciates that. I thank Terry Dinkman for her work,
Mhm.
so we appreciate helping with that. Maintenance-wise, I would like to meet with the maintenance committee sometime in October before you get knee-deep in the field, Gary, if it works, or look at the
Might
five-day
be next week
forecast.
already. Who knows?
I know, well, I guess, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's just try to see what opens up.
See what
in
October
October.
is, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, I don't know about you, but the corn and beans in my neighborhood have really turned this week. Policy-wise, nothing major, legislatively, nothing as well. Every session is interesting, and there's all kinds of chatter, but when the rubber hits the road, you don't see a lot of changes, so, you know, big thing for this piece is just if how they're gonna fund, this alternative, not alternative assessment, new assessment,
Yeah.
smarter balanced. So, the work session is scheduled for Wednesday, September 28th at 5. I got a lot to go over with you guys that night, from our board goals to the board convention, be thinking about that in November.
That's right.
I did want to mention that our enrollment is up. If our count day is October 1st, so that's when the real count takes place. But on the first day of school, we were up 16. Now, the elementary is, I sent you the numbers, but just from a press purpose, our elementary numbers are as high as they've been in several years. Our high school is as small as it's been in several years, so the good news is, from a long-term perspective, we got the right set of grades that are the largest right now.
Right.
So, October 1st again is the official count day. As Mr. Crawford and Mrs. Austin mentioned, no school Monday due to Professional Development Day. otherwise, it's been an outstanding start to the school year. I've been really pleased with everyone's work and the community's patience and working with the city and just making everything flow. And we've got a few things to finish up. Our, I don't want to call it a memorial wall, but really it's our memorial wall down there. Will be complete here in the next week or so. Joe Raggets is on vacation, a well-deserved vacation. He's out in Colorado elk hunting right now. But when he gets back, we've got a lot of little projects, from the sidewalk I was talking about, to some of the concrete, to getting the flagpoles in up there. So in the next 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully everything will, come together. I'm working with Ben Shirk to get a group picture of the elementary. I really want to do something this fall out there. My goal was to have it around the flagpole, but we're going to lose some good weather. So I don't know. I'm trying to pick his artistic brain on what we can do to get a neat group picture of all the elementary students in the first year of the elementary. So maybe we'll have time. I don't know. In a perfect world, we would have done it this Friday to coincide with homecoming, but also I call it Constitution Day or Patriot Day with everything. They have them wear red, white, and blue. We thought that might be a neat picture too. So, otherwise, and our work session in October, or our regular meeting in October is October 10th. And if you really want to look for down the road, Wednesday, October 26th would be the work session as well. Otherwise, that's all I have.
How did the building perform so far? I mean, how everything's worked. You said you had increased the water pressure and the air conditioning and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's been tweaks to that. I mean, I have conversations with Mrs. Austin almost daily about trying to get balance with the air. Some rooms would be colder than others. Certain things need to be adjusted and whatnot. And we're coming into a cooler period, so we won't use the air quite as much. But I know when the heating starts, we'll find those things too. Lunch, I thought lunch has gone really well the first few days, just getting kids to the lunch line, and the traffic patterns with that too, and even with the buses, just making tweaks on how they park in the back. Mr. Meyer came up with this idea, and that's what's really neat about how things have worked. It's just we try to use everybody in every situation, from our associates, the principals, the teachers. What can we do better? Mr. Meyer had the idea with our 4 buses. One of our concerns with them leaving to the north is having the kids having to go in front of the bus to get on, the right side, and we just do not. It's everyone's nightmare. We do not want any child to get hurt by a bus, or a bus driver not to see them. Well, Mr. Meyer had that idea. Well, what if we have them park at an angle in the back? Just a little bit of an angle. And we only have 4 buses, and so they tried that, and that really has helped. Just instead of going all the way across the front of the bus, we're just going around that tip.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that we've tweaked, but I think that's gone really well. But it's just tapping into everyone's collective knowledge, and getting it there. But Mrs. Austin, what do you think in terms of what's some of the biggest things that you think we have left?
We're pretty good.
I think so too.
The kids still haven't decided exactly where they want to play at recess.
Yeah,
Every day
how's that working with the playgrounds and
Well,
stuff?
okay. But they're somewhere different.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the traffic patterns in and out, up the hill for those first graders to line up is hard. We've got a few things that we've got to still look at.
I can see him trying to get up the hill.
Good, no, really, it's gone very well.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of adjustment, a lot of changes, a lot of flexibility shown on everyone's part. The teachers have just been great, and the associates have been great about figuring things out.
So does it take a village to raise a school?
It takes a village to raise a school. Yes, it does.
Good,
Yeah.
Sure does.
good.
How did the non-air conditioned portions of the school work out on those hot days? I know my older kids didn't complain at all, but I didn't know.
What's interesting, there's a pocket as you're walking down the halls, and obviously the elementary is completely aired. But it's interesting, because of the cafeteria having air conditioning, because of the elementary having air conditioning, when the doors are open, we have fans.
Sure.
The further you go south, the warmer it gets. Now the first floor, I call it the basement, that's got that natural earth home effect.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, that's not too bad downstairs. It really isn't. But there's a pocket from when you get I would say past these double doors here, you know, this 94 edition's not too bad upstairs, because again, it's closest to the elementary, and you got the cafeteria on the east side, but those windows open. But there's an upstairs pocket from about this exit sign down to, well, Mr. Crawford's office. Particularly, it's interesting, in the morning it's on the east side because it hits the sun first. But there's about 3 or 4 rooms right there. It's really, really oppressive. Now, on the west side in the afternoon, it kind of flips a little bit.
Oh, sure.
But the good news is, Mr. Crawford's worked with his staff on trying to find places, whether it's in here, because it's air conditioned, taking kids to the cafeteria.
Correct.
The band room's air conditioned, you know, and just trying to get kids to open spaces on those few days where it was extremely humid. But yes, there's probably 6 to 8 classrooms, again, depending on the time of day. The east side's worse in the morning, west side's worse in the afternoon, where it's very uncomfortable. But luckily, we've got places for them to go.
That's what I told somebody too. Somebody asked him if this was air conditioned. I says, not yet, but you know, but there are places that they can go. I said, they could even go into the community center. Really, you know, if it really got.
Well, exactly. Well, we've got
Not
the
enough
auditorium
places.
gym, you know, down there that's air conditioned. There's
There's
just
a lot of different places.
places they
could
can
be.
get into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it mess with us much with Durant releasing early, sharing classes?
No,
or
because we
not
share in the morning.
It's just in the morning?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
That works well.
Yeah. So no, that's a good question, Joe. That, that's been the one complaint of the high school kids, so they want to get out early.
Well, yeah, it's hot.
That's right, that's right.
I would let you, but it's Mr. Burns.
I know. You're gonna like learning it. And like it.
Yeah, you're gonna learn, okay.
But
Alrighty.
no. But otherwise, you know, as we joke about the early graduation request time, just doesn't slow
Yeah,
down.
it's just like,
Just keeps going.
yeah.
So we'd be thinking about the board, board retreat, but school board convention.
Convention.
We'll talk about that again in a couple weeks.
Because I'm sure you've all got literature
Oh,
already in
yeah.
the mails.
Oh, yeah, quite a while
That's
ago.
all right, so.
I keep getting emails to sign, register.
Yeah.
Okay,
But, all right, that's all I have.
all right, and entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move we adjourn?
Second.
Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Who's gonna notify Tony that he's now the only member serving on the full board? We decided he would be a 2 for 1. His seat is waiting. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, we'll just.
Yeah, but Brandy will put it in the paper.
And he's vice president. He won't be upset he's vice president. He'll be upset if he's on the full board. No, he won't be upset at all. But that's funny.
We can always write a fix the next week.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, how funny. All right. Good.
Still an hour and 20 is not bad.
No, it's not.
I liked our days early on.
Oh, I know.
I do too.
You know?
Yeah, well, we should get back to the point.
We
Say
will.
like Kevin and
See, that's what I was.
And all those changes. Well, we'll get back to it.
I was told
I
one
said
meeting a
something
month,
to Justin.
Oh.
Well, we
I
should.
was told.
And I'm not sure I followed up on it.
Hey, what do you, well, I guess we can talk at the work session. It's up to you guys if you want to go back up here.
Oh,
Do you want to get the camera?
That's important, I guess, if they'd be able to apply, right?